In a world where young people grow up surrounded by tech, what does the future hold for traditional one-to-one music tuition? Piano XR is a research project that is gathering data on how digital technology can be brought into the music lesson to augment and enrich the student-tutor relationship. This knowledge exchange project started when Wiltshire Music Connect asked Performance Research and Innovation Fellow Dr. George Waddell to help design and conduct pioneering research that explored the potential of VR headsets within a one-to-one piano tuition context.
So this project is looking at what happens when we bring virtual reality into that relationship between a young beginner on the piano and their teacher. Now, this is all important because we're in the very early stages of these technology, and as a musical community, we don't want to be passive in shaping what that future of technology in our world will look like. We want to have an active part in this.
Researchers from the RCM worked with 4 music hubs to track the progress of students whose lessons included XR technology and compared their progress with a control group who received traditional tuition.
For us, this research was about really finding out how useful is XR technology in teaching the piano. Is it a tool that our teachers can use regularly? Could we possibly be investing in XR virtual reality headsets in our instrument stock so that we can reach perhaps young people who wouldn't naturally think of themselves as being pianists, but who would like to try it if we can gamify it a little bit? Music tuition is something that requires a lot of practice. The young people have to commit time and energy every week. Gamification can really help that. It can really encourage them that's the one thing that they do want to get home and try for 20 minutes every day. That can have a really big impact.
What we found was the technology was particularly useful for the pupils who may otherwise find it difficult to engage in traditional lessons. So those that perhaps struggle to engage with the sight reading element, potentially pupils with dyslexia or other specific learning difficulties.
By working this way, we've seen that beginner pupils with XR can get to quite a good level in a very short amount of time just using the headset. Usually in one session, they can get to a piece which might take a student maybe 2 or 3 lessons to get to, just because they haven't got the barrier of reading music, which is quite difficult for a beginner pupil.
So for us, it's really important that we're getting in at ground level with this technology and that we can have dialogue with the people who are building apps and developing the hardware and the software for this kind of thing. One of the things that's been really challenging with this project was the safeguarding aspects. It's really important when we're using new technology that children are safe, that we've thought about all the possible sources of harm. And that's been quite challenging in this project just because everything's new. So I really hope that perhaps we can feed that back to some of the developers so that big tech companies are building safeguarding in from the very start when they're releasing new products.
The addition of XR technology into music tuition is not about replacing the teacher. Instead, the RCM is looking at ways that these new possibilities can enhance and deepen that important relationship.
Virtual reality is a particularly exciting tool to look at in the world of music lessons, because there are several things that it can do that weren't possible before to help bring the teacher out of the studio into where the student practices. A musician might only have 30, 60 minutes a week with their teacher, but of course they're hopefully spending a great deal more time than that practicing. But virtual reality gives one more way to do that. Not replacing the teacher, crucially. The role of the teacher is still very important, but helping to extend their influence to the practice room so that when the student comes back to the teacher in that precious time, they don't have to spend so much of that time on the technical aspects that could have been worked out at home. They can spend more time on developing their individuality, their creativity, their voice, all these things that we really want to do as a musician.